the livestock auction, but with torches and pitchforks.
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
I'm David Thomas Lynch.
And it's another Bananza episode. We're back on Bananza. And David, I am 135 hours into the game now.
You must have finished the game weeks ago then.
No, actually, I'm still not done with the story. However, I'm getting there. I'm actually really close at long last. I have gotten some big spoilers cleared. But I want to assure everyone that just because I'm over a certain hump doesn't mean that the Kongversation and DK Vine will stop respecting our spoiler policy. For everyone who may be in the dark, whether that's on purpose or you've just somehow managed to dodge spoilers for the past month and a half. But yeah, unless anything we produce is clearly marked for spoilers. Because yes, now that I know that Bluster Kong is in the... Ignore that. Damn it!
Well, see, I finished the story, but I haven't gotten like all the Banandium gems. So yeah, even on this very layer, I've only gotten 60 out of the 70 gems.
Oh, well, why are you even on this episode then? I don't know. I just thought...
I think because you asked me on.
Yeah, because I thought David might enjoy some good elephant chat. Yeah, I don't know.
Because, there's a... I don't really use my middle name outside of here in Bluesky, and there's a director called David Lynch who made a movie about an elephant man, so...
subconsciously, I'm sure that's what was driving me. but
oh, I thought that was literally the whole reason I was here.
No, I was just like, I was trying to think of a good episode for David Thomas Lynch, and maybe I thought you were stressed out and you needed a spa day. I don't know. But
I was just throwing a number out there, 1,600, but apparently somebody's going to be on that one.
Yeah. So
1,600, that's like way too far in the game. Nobody bothers to play that far.
That's right. But
nothing interesting happens there.
Ideally, on this episode, there will be no spoilers beyond Sublayer 903.
All right, so if we want to talk about Sublayer 956, then meet next week.
Yeah, that bit in the sinkhole dive. I should do episodes on all of that, just as it incrementally ticks down or up when you go through the sinkhole, and I'm just like, yeah, we'll do an episode.
Yeah, you could do a 3-hour episode going just falling down for like half a second.
Yeah. Oh, it's just the way the Banandium root kind of looked at that little bit. Oh, yeah. That's the ultimate
I think there was
test.
A gold thing over there.
Yeah, that would be the ultimate test of my skill, but we are keeping it simple on this episode. We are talking about the Tempest layer. Oh boy, oh my. So yes, elephants and stormy weather ahead. I hope you brought your plastic Mac because you're gonna get drenched.
And if not, you could buy it in this stuff shop for 5 normal fossils.
Yes, you could. So first, I would like to give a plug to some of our spoiler content that is currently out there. So Jeff, Dustin, and Mitchell recorded a Kongversation Other Voices special where they get into every filthy, sordid detail concerning Donkey Kong Bananza that my virgin ears could not handle yet. So that is now up for our patrons. Every single DK Vine patron, if you are a paid member of our Patreon at patreon.com/DK Vine, or David, what's the other way?
https://www.dkvine.com/patreon/
Yeah, you don't really need the www and the colons these days. It just works. But I appreciate your fidelity to old school browsing. Brings a smile to my face.
Actually, I'm not sure if you need that last slash.
You never need the last slash, but the last slash usually auto formats anyway whenever you do a hyperlink. Anyway, you just made my aging millennial heart warm with that.
Okay, never mind. Patreon. It's Patreon without the slash. Just one without
Okay.
the slash afterwards. Okay,
All
because
right.
otherwise it looks for a folder called Patreon
Yeah, so
/index.html. You should put something there.
riveting insight, David. Thank you. The Conversation Other Voices episode is up now. But if you want to hear what I have to say, I will be recording a video on my immediate reactions as soon as I beat Bananza. Not necessarily 100%. If there's any post-game, I don't know yet. But once I beat the main story, which will be in a matter of days, I'm going to record a video. I'm going to sit my ass down in front of the camera, and I am going to give my immediate, unscripted, unvarnished reactions, raw and unfiltered. So that will be coming very, very, very soon.
It's like a conversation, only you can actually see.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to, practice my facial expressions a little bit so I don't just look like I normally look when I'm doing this podcast, which is probably concerned at the direction my life took. Anyway, that will be coming to YouTube. I do recommend nobody watch it unless you have also beaten Bananza, or if you're just a freak who doesn't care, if you're just a bystander. But I am going to, I'm going to get into, because I can't wait to do the conversation. A lot of people have said, I crossed a certain Rubicon the other day, and I alluded to it on social media, and a few people said they wish they had seen my reaction. Like, I taped myself when I got there, and, I don't like doing that kind of content normally. We did it with Banjo-Kazooie in Smash because we were there. We were just all on the same couch for once, or 4 of us were, and so it just was like, yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, look for that on our YouTube channel. Finally, as I mentioned, our Patreon is where you can hear the other voices specials, sans me, but my voice would like to thank our patrons for keeping DK Vine running. It's a really special time for the Donkey Kong fandom, and I am immensely proud that DK Vine has been around for 26 years now, and that we weathered the longest stretch without a new standalone Donkey Kong game. We not only weathered it, but we really just, I think, stepped up and kind of grew up during that interim in a way that we had never really done before. We had matured into something beyond just the little clubhouse for idiots that we started off as. And we couldn't do it without our patrons.
I mean, we're also like 40 now, and we probably shouldn't be raging about Nintendo doing this thing that we slightly disagree with.
Yeah, but I look like I'm 25, so I've still, I look like I'm remarkably well-adjusted for my age. DK Vine's on Patreon. Thank you to our patrons. I want to give a quick shout out because we do live stream these for our $5 and up patrons. Hello to Alter Mentality, Courtney. You'll be seeing her on the conversation really soon. Hello to Freezer. You already saw her on the conversation, or you heard her on the conversation. It's a Zebra episode. Just Andre. Hello. We got Chocolate Milk Drinker, S. Monaco 14, and March Rose in the chat right now. Thank you for joining us. We are going to talk about Sublayers 900 to 903. I did not forget about 903 this time. 903 is the bottom layer where you fight the boss, and there's not much to it other than that, but damn it, it counts. It's part of this world.
Honestly, let's just go with 905 just to be safe.
Yeah, well, I have to go back, and I didn't analyze the sinkhole drop, so I need to go back and replay the game, honestly. Yeah, this is the Tempest layer episode, and this is the part of the game, as I said, where it's starting to get into territory that Nintendo did not show off in the pre-release material. We did see a couple of glimpses of this world, but we didn't see the Bananza, we didn't see the relevant species that live there. And so this is really where the game, for those of us who kept up with Bananza from April 2nd. I mean, I know we kept up with Bananza since like 2018, but you know what I mean. Like, keeping up with Bananza when we knew it was Bananza since April 2nd. This is when the game started to feel unfamiliar and maybe a little bit foreboding because we didn't know what was just around the corner. Could it be another elephant? Oh, yes, it is. But, you know, I didn't know what to expect going into Tempest layer because once you get past like the whole big junction fight and the chase with Void Kong, and you go to Resort Layer and you kind of catch your breath, and then you come to this very like stormy, dark world. You're like, all right, is shit getting real? And we can talk about it a little bit, but I really think this world does a nice job of making you feel lots of things when you first get here, and you go through a gamut of emotions. And it just speaks to how well balanced I feel Donkey Kong Bonanza is in its pacing and its rollout of like worlds, ideas. It never feels like it's a slog to me. And it never feels like it's just getting too much of the same thing. And, you know, I've really enjoyed Super Mario Odyssey from what I've played of it, which was through the Metro Kingdom. But I do feel like this is so much better paced than Odyssey, if you're going to compare them. And I think I was really feeling that when I got through Tempest Layer.
I mean, part of it is that you can literally play at your own pace, either looking for all the bananas or just marching through and playing the whole game with just 3 hearts.
Yeah. True, yeah. But, you know, I'm the one who had to max out at least 3 smashing stats before I moved on from any given layer. So, my perspective is all askew from the normie viewpoint, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay being the freakish perspective when it comes to all of this. But, yeah, this is the first big world that you get to since the Divide duo, Freezer and Forest. And it's also the first world since then to have both an Elder and a Bananza transformation. And as I said, this is where we start getting into the Bananza transformations that were not shown ahead of time. I remember we had a caller before Bananza came out. They were worried that the only Bananza transformations were the 3 shown off in the Direct. And this is where that was put to bed. It's like, well, if you couldn't see from the skill tree that there was clearly 2 more columns on there empty, yes, there are more Bananza transformations.
Spoilers, there are 5.
Yeah, I mean, if you can count, you know there's 5. So that's not much of a spoiler at this point. But obviously, you learn pretty quickly that the world theme, just like every other major world in this game, every major layer, you get kind of a trio of themes, a smorgasbord of ideas mashed together in a pseudo-elegant fashion. Like, I wouldn't have thought some of these would have gone together, but in retrospect, it kind of all works in a weird way. So, you've got elephants. Elephants are the animal tribe living here. You've got weather being the big like gimmick conceit of the world, and I guess the only way to describe it, I put it in my show notes, geothermal luxury. Those are the 3 ideas.
Yeah, well, it's got lava. You know, every game has a lava world. And,
yes.
You know, we got a sauna and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, like not every game. Donkey Kong Country famously didn't have a lava world because they ran out of time. But even the games that do have lava worlds, they generally are just, ooh, lava, scary, ooh, volcanoes, ooh, Bowser's Castle, ooh. But here, it dares to be different. It dares to ask, okay, but why can't lava be relaxing? Why can't we use that to pamper ourselves? And I'm like, finally, there's a game looking at all of this like scary molten rock and thinking, spa day? Question mark. And this is why the Donkey Kong series has been the innovating, revolutionary series since 1994, because it's not afraid to go there. Freezer, not the layer, the person in our chat says, it is weird that this game has multiple lava worlds. We Salt and Freezer. And by that she means the layer, not herself. But, I think with the Freezer layer, it was more of a Hailfire Peak situation where it was primarily Snow World. I mean, it's called Freezer. And, and then you just get deeper and hotter. Whereas this, it's more, even the lava isn't the central gimmick of this world. That's only a factor. The real overarching idea is stormy weather. It's the Tempest, right?
Yeah, and that's like kind of like the vocal tick that all the NPCs talk about, like weather, rain, and stuff.
Yeah, they're all meteorologists, and that's abundantly clear when you get here. You turn around, you read a stone tablet, and it says tomorrow's weather forecast. And I just love that they must put a new stone tablet out every single day for this. But they're kind of getting lazy here, because they said tomorrow's weather forecast, expect stray clouds to drop in from the surface, a strong front of ape with a chance of human girl in the afternoon. If you go out, remember to bring an umbrella, a very, very sturdy umbrella. I say they're lazy. I guess it takes a bit of skill to determine exactly when Donkey Kong and Pauline are arriving from the junction, or resort layer. Because, maybe they told the resort layer administrators how long they're going to be staying and when they'd be checking out, and then the elephants just assumed, okay, they'll be dropping in to our layer after that. But yeah, I like that they incorporate Donkey Kong and Pauline into the weather forecast. And honestly, I wish more 7-day forecast would actually, suggest that a gorilla could drop on me, because then it would give me something to live for.
How do you know it doesn't? They just don't tell you, because, gorillas don't drop from the sky very often.
I guess that's a good point. You got me there. I'm just saying, every now and then, just sneak it in there and just see how people react, just as this, social experiment.
Pretty sure Apple Weather has an icon for a gorilla falling from sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Donkey Kong does nourish himself with apples in this game, so it makes sense. But yeah, I would stand outside with my arms spread wide and maybe my tongue out a little bit, just waiting for that hug. My life's goal, the one big thing on my bucket list, David, is to be hugged by a gorilla. Oh, God, I want that to happen. So anyway, and just Andre in the chat says, a chance, so they're betting on the possibility that Pauline will fucking die before she reaches their lair. Yeah, that's why the weather is never completely accurate.
Or maybe they'll show up the day after tomorrow, because, depending on who's playing, they might just go get all the bananas and, have to max out the
Lift-off
stats.
Yeah. Well, that is true, and honestly, that would also explain why whenever I try to give my dog her storm meds to calm herself before thunder, and you have to give it to her 2 hours beforehand for it to kick in, and then it doesn't happen for 4 hours, and then the meds have partially worn off, and then she's stressed. That would explain why the weather's late arriving, even though it's been forecasted for a specific time. It's because Thor is maxing out its smashing stats. So, David, the elephants of this layer. So they are the biggest animal tribe thus far. Compared to the zebras, compared to the ostriches, these are elephants. They're huge, and they dwarf, they dwarf Donkey Kong and Pauline in comparison. But look, you see big elephants, many of them with a bluish tint to their skin, and they're standing upright. So obviously, any long-time Donkey Kong or DKU fan, they're going to see these elephants and they're going to ask the important question, hold up, are these elephants inspired in some way by Taj from off of Diddy Kong Racing? I don't mean the insensitive accent that seemed perfectly fine in 1997, and then we realized after the fact, oh no, and Rare actually had the foresight in 2007 to change it, which seems remarkably forward-thinking on their part, considering that it was still in vogue at that time to do an accent like that. But Taj is a great character regardless.
Yeah, because that was about a decade before, the problem with the poo.
Yeah, it definitely predated it, yeah. And it might have been more of a cultural issue in the UK, given the heavy Indian and Pakistani population there. It would make sense that it would be a cultural hot button issue, there before it reached the Americas, widespread at least. I mean, it was an issue. We just didn't talk about it until we talked about a poop. But yeah, I think that Taj is a great character. Remove the accent, he's just one of the most good-hearted characters, benefactors in the broader DKU, and tangentially the Donkey Kong series, even though Diddy Kong Racing isn't really a Donkey Kong game, but it still kind of is.
Well, he was in Donkey Kong Racing.
Yeah, he was going to be in Donkey Kong Racing. Yeah, which is an important caveat to remember. But yeah, I looked at these elephants, and it's not a one-to-one to Taj, because Taj has much smaller ears than these elephants. He also has fingers rather than just hooves. So these elephants do hold things in their arm hooves. It's not like they can't use them as fingers. It's they are somehow prehensile, but it's not exactly Taj, but it's close. And if you squint, I would say you can say that Taj might be, origin-wise, from this elephant tribe before he became a genie. I think you can fan wank that as you want, although you would have to wank it using Taj's hands and not these elephants. But like I said, many of them have a blue tint. They do stand upright. And I think that makes the comparison natural. And plus, Taj isn't just an elephant. He's also an immortal genie. So any differences in appearance can also be explained away by that. But,
Well, I actually think they're more inspired by Ellie from off of Donkey Kong Country 3 for reasons we'll get into when we talk about the Bananza.
The Bananza might have some Ellie influence in there for sure. But I would say the visual appearance of these elephants, these elephant NPCs, I would say that if this was any other time and any other game, I would look at these elephants and be like, there's no way they were thinking about Taj at all when they were designing these elephants. Not a chance. Dream on, fans. It's all a bunch of nonsense. They don't care. That being said,
maybe that's what those retro games you hate so much do.
Yeah, I can't go a single Bananza Kongversation without stepping in it in some way in regards to the retro duology, which I love and adore. But I think this team, I'm absolutely certain this team wouldn't be afraid to covertly reference Diddy Kong Racing stuff where they felt it appropriate and safe. They're not going to allude to TT the stopwatch or anything. And Taj is a character owned by Microsoft by way of Rare. But it's still part of the Donkey Kong lineage. It's still part of that legacy. So I could see them creeping up to it like this. I'm not going to dismiss it, is what I'm saying. And I think as you continue to play Bananza, there are very valid reasons where you could come back and say, oh yeah, I could see this team referencing Taj for sure. So something to keep in mind. At the very least, Bananza provides a wealth of fanon and headcanon opportunities by making links and callbacks to past games so robust.
Mm-hmm. Well, meanwhile, Retro is all like, yeah, that's a Bramble level. We should call it Bramble Scramble. Hey, isn't that like Donkey Kong Country 2? What? What's Donkey Kong Country 2? Yeehaw! Pew, pew. And then ride off on horses.
Yeah, I love that because Retro is located in Texas, you've decided that they're all developing the game and they have like holsters on their hips with 6 shooters on both sides and they're like, pew, pew, pew. No, it's a fun visual, and that,
Yes.
we're going to stick 16 Mario references in the background here. Donkey Kong fans will love that, right?
And then coincidentally name a level after a famous level from Donkey Kong Country 2, but by complete coincidence.
I don't think that was a coincidence. I think the pufferfish being called puffed up but spelled differently was a coincidence. But hey, I found a way to massage that as well. It's because the Kremlin source influenced the puffed up from Tropical Freeze and turned them into the puffed
And to be
ups.
fair, unlike Hyle, I actually like these games.
Anyway, there's also an elephant in Returns. It's not, doesn't
We
have
call
a
him
name.
Elliot.
We call him Elliot because he doesn't have a name. Imagine if it was just Ellie. Like, how much more sense that would. Anyway, there are also fractones that live here. And just as we saw in Canyon Layer, where they assumed the identity of giraffes, just as we saw in Freezer Layer, where they worked side by side with the zebras as zebras, and just as we saw in the Forest Layer, where they lived as ostriches, there are certain fractones that have assumed the lifestyle of the elephant. Although they kind of they kind of half-ass it just a bit. Whereas other fractones would like take on the coloring of giraffes and actually like simulate the long neck, or they would like look like zebras. The elephant fractones, they just kind of take on the shape of an elephant's head, sans like long trunk or anything.
They look more like the shirts than I think there's a style shop there. The ears look like t-shirt sleeves.
I'm sure it takes a lot of effort for a fractone to do that trick of becoming an animal shape, and I think like it was probably just easier for them. We can become a t-shirt and then augment it slightly. We know how to do that. Good enough.
Yeah, they are real kind of blue, so we just
Yeah.
they look kind of blue, so here's what we do. Musical note.
Anyway, I do appreciate that once again we have fractones living the lifestyle of the animal tribe, and unlike the giraffes, the elephants are still living and thriving in their layers. So it's nice to see that kind of cooperation and acceptance from both factions. But yeah, so Tempest Layer, couple things. The glue gum platforms. I think I called them goo in a previous episode, but it's glue gum. David, you set me correct on this because you want to think it's goo because it looks like goo, but it's glue. Gloo.
Those things stick to it.
Things stick to it, yeah, like glue.
Much like glue spelled with a Glue, but spelled Gloo because poor literacy is cool.
Well, it's a portmanteau, I believe, of glue and goo, you see. So, glue gum platforms. Now, these have appeared before. Hilltop Layer, The Divide, I think The Junction, but they're actually incorporated into the mechanics of this world far more as platforms you will need to utilize to get Banandium and other get to other areas. And I suppose, there are always workarounds, but there are specific spots where you kind of need to use the glue gum platforms and bring them down. Now, they're also on tracks here, where as before when you would bring one down, it would just smash into the ground, like trying to bring Cranky down to talk to him. Here, you can then hand slap the platform when you bring it down, and it jumps back up to its starting position. So you just have to throw terrain on the bottom of it to weigh it down, and then you have to break that terrain to take a ride up into the sky. And I really came to appreciate the design mechanics behind these. Once again, it's a very clever use of the terrain for a specific gameplay-oriented task. But yeah, like just the amount of variety of things you can do with the dirt and the rocks in this game, it's just so astoundingly clever what this team was capable of. Just the hybridization between everything, between platforms, between enemies, and how it's all just linked. I'm not a designer, so I can't speak in any eloquent terms when it comes to this, but damn Donkey Kong Bonanza. You know what? It's also great about the glue gum platforms.
What?
It's like when you get hair in gum, and you just imagine getting like body hair in a wad of gum on like.
But I hate getting hair in gum.
Well, like I'm not talking about putting gum in your hair. I'm talking about the just errant hair that falls off of you, be it your arms or your ass, or
that's even worse.
Or your pubic region, and like if somebody just like sticks some gum on the theater floor and it just falls in it and it just cakes in over time, and you just marvel at how it's just kind of preserving all of this like a bug in amber. That's what.
Then you slap on the ground and it all falls out.
I don't know. This is the second conversation in a row where I'm turning to a really gross analogy and speaking positively of it. Last time I said, I equated something to being like peeling off dried skin and how satisfying it was. So I think I have some issues, David. I don't know.
I mean, peeling off dry skin is fine. It means you no longer have dry skin hanging off you.
But then if you start peeling off too much, then you're just bleeding.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then you're just peeling off regular skin. That's not fun.
Andre, well, we got a lot of comments. Courtney says, how's Hyle getting pubes in his gum? And then Andre says, I think we need to have a long discussion about your gum chewing technique. And yeah, I don't like gum. Gum is a nuisance because I'm done with it. Then I have to spit it out. And where am I gonna spit it out? If I don't have a wrapper, then, and even if I spit it on the wrapper, then I just have a wad of saliva, like a wad of saliva-filled, chunky, rubbery matter in my pocket. It's foul.
And then, of course, if you stick it down your pants and you have pubic hair all over it.
That's how it happens. That is how it happens. And, you know, it's great if you want a convenient waxing. But otherwise, yeah, no thank you. I will stick with the breath mints. Breath savers, please. I will open up the to share side, but I will be grabbing 3 for myself. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Let's change the topic to something a little bit more wholesome, a little bit more crowd-pleasing. I want to talk about the fossils of this world really quick, because, as I said before, we are now in full-on Donkey Kong head-assery mode. This game isn't screwing around any longer. We have no more sea lilies to give out. We have only Donkey Kong fan porn. And I am here for it.
Just don't Google Donkey Kong fan porn because you might find actual.
Unless that's what you want. Whatever anybody wants to do in the privacy of their home, so long as it's legal, so long as it's not harming anyone, I say go at it. If you want to stick chewed up gum in your pubic hair, I mean, that's a good time.
So long
right
as
there.
it's legal as of, let's just say, last year, because who knows what this, because trying to ban Donkey Kong porn.
You don't want to see spoilers for Bananza if you haven't gotten that far, too. So,
oh yeah.
Be safe out there. But yeah, the 3 fossils in this layer. So the most common one, the one that there are 61 fossils throughout, is the frog. And again, like these fossils, we sort of knew all of these fossils because we saw a screenshot of this world. The day of the direct, they released a whole bunch, and we did see the little emblems of these three animals, and we could recognize the shape. Like, there's only one where I was not 100% certain on, but I thought it was, and it turned out I was right, and that felt really nice. But the frog, of course, is a reference to Winky. It's the same type of giant tree frog or whatever Winky is supposed to be. And the description, would you like to read that, David?
Identifiable by its red-on-green mottled skin, it could leap startling distances in the wink of an eye, even with a passenger.
Yeah, and they do the thing. They do the thing, right, where they can't say, this is Winky, because then Winky would be dead. And there would also be
61 of them.
61 Winkies, yeah. 61 Winkies, all deceased. But they do the clever thing where they do reference the character, or in the cases of the drones like Zingers, they reference the specific subspecies type through
because in a lesser game I might think this, that could be any frog, or this could be any anglerfish, but the description makes it no, yes, this is definitely a reference to the thing from that other game.
Again, Donkey Kong fans have had to go so long without this type of fan service that, you know, I could see the arguments, just like we were having with the elephants. Are they a reference to Taj? We'd be like, I don't know. It's a frog, but is it really supposed to be a reference to Winky? Come on. But yes, the wink of an eye and the fact that they talk about riding the frog, which is not something people typically do with frogs, ride them around like little ponies.
Yeah, especially 800-pound gorillas.
Yeah. It generally doesn't happen. The forecast doesn't call for gorillas dropping from the sky on frogs. I mean, what a kick-ass biblical plague that would be. I mean, I would read the Old Testament way more if, Egypt had to deal with that. But, yeah. Reference to Winky. We love Winky. We love to see references to Winky. Anyway, the rare fossil, of which there were only 10 through all of the sublayers of Tempest Layer, is the one I was uncertain of until I actually broke it open. Anglerfish. Holy God Almighty. Holy Lord of Games. He has blessed us with a reference to Glimmer the Anglerfish in a non-Sea of Thieves capacity in this century. We have done it, everyone. David, what is the description for Anglerfish?
It glimmered and illuminated dark waters with its bright lantern. It's said to have lived mostly within sunken ships.
Yeah. It's a very specific reference for Anglerfish, considering, anglerfish do not have to live in sunken ships, actually. But, yeah.
Although Glimmer might actually be dead and fossilized since he didn't appear in Donkey Kong Land 2.
Yeah, even though he was on the box art, and I still maintain we should start a class action lawsuit over that. I just don't want to get blacklisted by Nintendo already more than I am, so...
Yeah. Plus, we got the back cover of Donkey Kong Land 3 lying about Parry the Parallel Bird.
Yeah, I know. That's honestly the more egregious error, because at least there was a stage in Donkey Kong Land 2 called Glimmer's Galleon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, Dave, I can't believe there's a Glimmer reference in this fossil. I mean, this is the type of catnip for the hardcore Donkey Kong fans, right? Like, I remember doing the frame-by-frame analysis of the Donkey Kong Racing trailer back in 2001, and we were freaking out over the fact that there were Glimmer-style anglerfish in the Kremlantis sequence with Diddy and Tiny. And, once the buyout happened and most of the animal buddies fell by the wayside, it always felt like, yeah, we might get some of the Donkey Kong Country original 5 animal buddies referenced if we're lucky. And then Radley had the weird street sign in Odyssey, but a Glimmer reference in 2025. I mean, that's the point where we're back. The Donkey Kong series is back and in good hands, because they're putting this collectible in here. And it would always make me grin like a Cheshire cat whenever I'd break open one of these Glimmer fossils, and it would just do the swirly swirl above Donkey Kong and Pauline, and I would see Glimmer's face in that rock, and it's like how people see the Virgin Mary in their toast or in their shower mold, and they smile. They know they're blessed. The ultra rare fossil, the big one, and I think they fudged the size a little bit on this one. I don't know why this is any larger than the frog, but, I'll allow it. This could have just been an enormous version of this animal. It's a swordfish. David?
Yes. Oh, I actually haven't found this one in the game yet, but it's not
You want
really
spoilers?
that much of a spoiler. I mean, the icon isn't particularly subtle. There are some ink blot tests later on, but this one is clearly a swordfish.
Yeah, no, do you want spoilers how to get it?
I'll find it eventually.
Okay.
Anyway, in water, one had to stay on their guard around this fish's notably sharp nose. On land, it would struggle and flop around. I don't remember that part.
I think they're talking about Donkey Kong Country 2. That one part where if you don't supercharge, and guard will just struggle over the ice. It's a very specific reference to a very specific part of a game, but clearly left a mark on the description writer. But yes, I also like how they worked in the on guard pun without actually using the word on guard. I don't know. It's good effort. I applaud these. It brings me back to the joy I would get when I would read Smash Brothers trophy descriptions when they existed. And then either they would delight you or they would annoy you with their historical inaccuracy. But this paves over that.
And King K. Rool's brother, Captain K. Rool.
Yeah. So the one weird trophy description where it said that Mario lusted to ride on Rambi. I'm just like, what? Or the one where it said that in another lifetime, K. Rool might have been Donkey Kong's best animal buddy. It's like, what? Is Donkey Kong going to ride King K. Rool around like a little pony? Anyway, Freezer says it's 'cause he was dead in Ghoulies, in reference to Engard. So, there's also a bit of lore to the fashion you can buy for Pauline in this world, which I found interesting. The various fashions at this point, I would say they haven't been that impressive. I've liked like the golden tie for Donkey Kong, and there are a few for Pauline that I switched into. I would change Pauline's wardrobe way more than Donkey Kong's. And at this point, I had the diva outfit that I got by scanning the amiibo in Resort Layer, but Pauline can also wear an elephant-shaped raincoat, or a series of them, from the Style Shop. And if you read all the stone tablets, you actually get a little bit of lore behind it. These stone tablets, they're like marked by like saying, keep your nose in the know. They're just like edicts and reminders for the elephant meteorologist in the lair. And it says, forecaster fashion. Raincoats are essential for any elephant who hopes to study the weather in this beautiful yet dangerous layer. They're perfect protection for those who wish to keep our harsh weather at bay. Find them at the nearest Style Shop. Now, I don't know why they would have a human-sized one, especially a human child-sized one, or tween.
Well, the forecast from the day before said something about a child.
You're right.
A gorilla falling from the sky.
You're
so
right.
Maybe they prepared.
They're fast sowers with their hooves that are somehow prehensile. Yes, absolutely right. Now, going down my list of new and interesting things in this world, I always like to talk about the ambient wildlife, not the Voidco monsters, as some characters call them, but just the wildlife that's living naturally in the underground world that aren't part of these anthropomorphic animal tribes, or not fractones, but just the kind of critters you would encounter on any expedition into the wilderness. And in this case, we've got like the roly-poly caterpillars are back. If you're digging through the ground, you'll encounter them. But you go through the interior caves of this world, and you'll encounter crystalline bats. Bats with glowing yellow eyes, and they've got 6 gems, like diamonds, on the tips of their wings, like Paul Simon if he were a Batman.
Or a man-bat, as it were.
Or a man-bat, which might make Garfunkel Robin, or Man-Robin. But, yeah, like, I really like it. It took me a long time to get a screenshot of these. Like, I had to time it just right, because I wouldn't be thinking about them until I would startle them and they would fly away, and I'm like, damn it. So I had to, like, brace myself and hit the button as soon as they started flying, and then I eventually got them. I was like, yeah.
And then, next thing you know, the Nintendo Switch app is filled with, like, 100 pictures of just the bat flying around.
Do you know how many pictures I've taken of Donkey Kong Bonanza, David? I can tell you right now. Got my Switch 2 right. Let me see. Got my Switch 2 right here. Now, this is beyond just this layer. This is what I've gotten so far. 4,264. 4,264 pictures of Donkey Kong Bonanza that I have taken through the course of my 135 hours. I really need to get one of those new SD cards.
Yeah, well, the Switch 2 only takes the ones that are expensive and hard to find.
They have a whole mess of them in local stores, and I'm like, oh, I need to buy that, but I also need to buy an Evercade now. And then they also have Alarmos in stock, and I'm like, ooh, that's DKU. I need an Alarmo. So I'm drowning right now. But just Andre says, Hyle living the Pokemon Snap Zubat experience a quarter century later than the rest of us. I got there eventually. You know, I slow walk everything. My life is a DK Vine done slow. So, yeah, and you know, I'm happier and healthier for it. But if you think all the bats are just a fun Pokemon Snap experience in this game, no. Wrong bats.
Way.
There are also evil Voidco bats. The Batteroids. Which, great name, because they batter you? Or are they covered in batter?
Bats.
Well, they're also bats. They might batter you. They're covered in dripping batter of sorts. These things were annoying as hell when I first encountered them, until I realized that they are effectively weaponized glue gum platforms. That's all they are. You just
so you can just hit them anywhere, right? For some reason, I thought this whole time you just had to hit them in the face. I don't know why.
I'm sure there are ways to dispatch them that go against the intended mechanic, but you throw a piece of terrain at their wing and you bring them down because it sticks to their wing.
Well, yes, I get that part.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that makes now it all makes a lot more sense.
But yeah, specifically, like, this is the most satisfying instance of getting pubic hair and gum in the entire game. Once I got the hang of dispatching the Batteroids, I would do my Banandium chip farming through them, or whenever I would unlock a new track, I would get a new disc from them. And it was just so fun making them drop down to the ground. They can't fly. And they also have these evil-looking masks on their faces. More on that concept a little bit later. But then you punch them, and they reveal little bat skeletons underneath. So these are just deceased bats that have been made into Voidco monsters by Grumpy Kong, similar to the Crocoids.
Some kind of bird, maybe.
Some kind of bird, maybe, considering what we later learn about the boss of this world. But yeah, really like the Batteroid, and I was very happy that Nintendo decided to make them Nintendo Switch profile icons during the 4 waves of Bonanza icons for NSO subscribers. I was like...
Well, I always stuck to the pile of gold bits.
Yeah, David, so for those who aren't aware of the cinematic stylings of our own David Lynch with the Thomas in the middle, David likes to sometimes pick the most, like, off-putting Switch icons. Like, if it's of some sort of item or ancillary collectible that is in no way exciting or sexy as your profile icon, David will at least give it a shot for a couple of days. So it was cracking me up during this cycle of Bananza Switch icons where David would switch over to the most ridiculous one for a couple of days, and brought me joy, brought me a smile to my face, like looking at my friends list and seeing, oh yeah, David's the little pile of gold today. Makes sense. I even switched from the Prospector Monkey since that was available.
Yeah, I just switched back to Cranky Kong, which I was using for a while.
Well, I remember you were kind of holding out when they did the big rollover of Donkey Kong's new design. You switched it to the old design, and you tried to keep from updating your system so it wouldn't switch over for you.
Eventually, I couldn't play Tetris 99 anymore. Then I couldn't even get to the eShop anymore. Then I couldn't transfer everything to the Switch 2.
And it's not like David's anti-new design. David just didn't like the historical revisionism at work there. You were very much like, no, Greedo shot first. We're sticking with this.
Greedo says McClunky and shoots first.
Well, you know, I originally intended in 1977 for Han Solo to shoot first and for Greedo to shout McClunky, which if you get into the history of the Rhodian species, they would always shout McClunky in moments of bloodlust. And I'm losing the George Lucas voice, and we don't want it to become the Clinton.
So now it's going to sound like Bill Clinton, yeah.
Yeah. Not the time to pull that one out. I think that was a quote in that book. Elephants. Back to elephants, but we're getting focused on trunks that belong to pachyderms. Now, as mentioned, this is a world that has another elder, and the elephant elder, she, her, pronouns, by the way. I liked the elephant elder just because how she would work in weather terminology in her dialogue. Like, she calls Donkey Kong and Pauline little lost clouds, which I thought was a cute touch. But once again, you go through this kind of reheated speech where she says, you know, once upon a time, I was the top main job in this layer. In this case, the top meteorologist of this village. But now she is the village's elder and blasts thunderous beats as a fan favorite DJ. So yeah, the elephant elder also gives an important bit of exposition here where she, I believe, is the first one to really explain to Donkey Kong and Pauline what lies at the heart of the planet core. Because they've been trying to get to the planet core. They know it like grants wishes. Like, the only way for Pauline to get home is to get to the planet core. And the elephant elder gets into it. At the heart of the planet core is the Banandium root. As she puts it, a mysterious entity with the power to grant wishes. So we're getting a little bit more context for the end game now that we are in effectively Act 3 of the game. If we're to assume that Bananza has 4 acts, this is Act 3. And yeah, you're starting to get a little bit more of a picture of not just the stakes, but what is at the heart of all of this. And the source of all of this Banandium, the Banandium-derived gold, the Banandium chips, the Banandium gem, it's the Banandium root.
And I only just noticed the tusks look like bananas, which I probably should know given how many bananas are in all these elders' designs.
Right. Yeah. I think the elephant elder is a really fun design, and I think it's like it's obvious, of course, if you're going to incorporate bananas in all the elders' designs, that the bananas in the case of the elephant one would be the tusk. It's still really fun to see, and it's honestly amazing that we've never seen this kind of thing in any Donkey Kong game up to this point. The series that brought us Banana Birds, Banana Fairies, Banana Sprites, Banana Extraterrestrials from the planet Plantain. We've never seen an elephant with banana tusk. It just seems like, yeah. I mean, I don't know if she paints her tusk and shapes them to look like bananas, or if she has some sort of weird hybridization fusion thing happening, but whatever. It's fun. It's a fun design. So, once again, though, the ancient record has been split and scattered. And in this case, it's only been split in two. So not quite as involved as some other ancient record fetch quest. But you have to progress downward into Sublayer 901 to get the ancient record pieces. And that means going through the bottom of Sublayer 900 through the Caldera Altar. Which, fun name. But this is also where you encounter the first boss fight of the world. Now, similar to Canyon Layer, there are 3 boss encounters in this world, but in this case, they're all the same character. They're all the character of the sinister Blusterwing. Ha ha ha. So,
not to be confused with Bluster Kong, who shows up later.
I don't know. So, Sinister Blusterwing, you fight it once in 900, and then 2 more times throughout the world. And the interesting thing about the Blusterwing, and you get some context from this by talking to some of the elephant characters, by looking at the environment around you, just soaking in all the little details. The Blusterwing is actually not created by Voidco or Grumpy Kong. This is a native bird to the Tempest layer, referred to by locals as the singing Blusterwing. Becomes the sinister Blusterwing after Voidco get their hands on it. But the singing Blusterwing controls all the weather in the underground world, according to one elephant. The other elephants talk about it controls the weather in the Tempest layer specifically, but then you talk to one in the spa later on, and it says, no, all the weather in the underground world is actually controlled by the singing Blusterwing. So there we go. There's an explanation for how there might be any sort of precipitation, be it rain or snow or, even wind for that matter, how there are these very surface layer concepts and environmental conditions in what's a subterranean world. It's the doing of the Blusterwing, which it creates the weather by singing from its heart, windstorms, thunderclouds, lightning. That songbird can cause them all just by tweeting a tune, which is far better than what most people tweet these days.
Because of the platform formerly known as Twitter has become.
Yeah,
that's a joke.
Kind of problematic these days. It's not really a welcoming environment for most people.
Follow some blue ski.
Yeah. Blue skies from the singing Blusterwing. The sinister Blusterwing is what happens when our social media is bought by billionaires. But a little social commentary mixing in there. Sorry, it's going to be the last time it's going to happen on this episode. Just had to get it out, or else I'm going to explode! The elephants offer the Blusterwing Banandium gems to kind of ensure pleasant weather, kind of an offering of sorts. Oh, I would really love it if we had spring-like conditions tomorrow because I want to go on a picnic. So here you go. Here's a Banandium gem. It's really just kind of bribing like the weather gods, but hey, if we could do it, we would do it all the time, right? I mean, it would probably lead to drought and famine because nobody would want it to rain, but
well, maybe we could at least, stop, catastrophic climate change.
David, what's wrong? I said no more social commentary for this episode. We got it out of our system. We don't need any more.
We're just talking about the weather,
Oh, yeah, I know. We're talking about the weather, but in this case, it's caused by a mythical bird who lives underground and not influenced by CO2 emitted from just factory pollution and automobiles and inaction by lobbyists. And okay, see you get me down this train of thought and I derail the episode. We were having a very fun time talking about elephants and whatnot, and now we're all just bummed out.
Okay, fine. Let's talk about birds that control the weather.
Okay, great.
Which sounds like an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. Oh, God damn it, I'm doing it again.
Well, there is a bit of conspiracy going on here. It's more of a simian conspiracy theory because Grumpy Kong sticks this mask on the bluster wing. It's similar to the Bataroid mask, and it kind of turns it into a big boss Bataroid. You're very naughty, or in this case, Master Necky, if you will, of the Bataroids, but it also gives the Blusterwing big goopy wings. So much goo, so much glue here.
Now, this one I could tell you were supposed to throw the rocks at the goo part. It's not like I was playing this one for like hours, just trying to. Still haven't finished this.
David's actually never gotten
just spending
past
6 weeks just doing nothing but throwing rocks at this thing's face.
Yeah, this is why David's on this episode, because this is as far as David's gotten in Donkey Kong Bonanza. I was like, oh, that's perfect. So, I don't know if you noticed this, but if you look at the walls throughout, like anywhere they do the weather forecasting in this layer, in the main area with the Elder, or in the Stormy Station later on, you will see depictions of what the Blusterwing looks like when he's not a big gross monster, or when it's not a big gross monster. It's always referred to as an it. We don't know if it has a preferred gender, if any, but yeah, we kind of get a chalk depiction of the Blusterwing when it's not dripping. So I like that little detail, and you can see it emanating weather. You can see what looks like one of these depictions. It makes it look like it has watery diarrhea coming out of its ass, and I think that's terrific.
Is that where the lava rain comes from later on?
It's not where the lava rain comes from. It might just be where the rain comes from. Like it filters the fecal matter so purely that you get just sparkling fresh rainwater. I think this is a wonderful innovation of just like, if real birds could do this, and instead of shitting on us and our automobiles and what have you, they could just give us little dewy drops from heaven. I would be for that evolutionary quirk for sure. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about the Blusterwing as we go. But yeah, I enjoyed these boss fights. It was nice to have a series of boss fights in the same layer against the same entity. And it just felt like, yeah, you kept like chasing it further and further into, or down into the layer. And yeah, it really like built up the suspense with your final confrontation with it. But anyway, you go into Sublayer 901, which is Hot Shower Cave. Now this is below the bed of lava in the Caldera Altar. And so it is, yeah, dripping hot lava all around you. Now, there are a couple ways to get around the hot lava down here, but the easiest way is what the elephants call chunk umbrellas. Love the chunk terminology. Love anytime they bring up the term chunk and apply it to something. Chunk jumping. Big fan of chunk jumping, but chunk umbrellas, it's where you just hold a chunk of terrain above you to keep the falling lava from harming you. This also later works with lightning.
Chunky Kong does not appear in this game.
That we know of.
Up to this point, at least.
Yeah. So that is one way. Now, there are also safe zones. Wherever there's grass in 901, Not 901210. We're not doing references to your Luke Perry early 90s dramas on this episode. I already make so many references that are out of date. I have to just bite my tongue sometimes. Anyway, you have to get from safe zone to safe zone, holding the chunk umbrellas where you can't cross. And then to get across the bubbling magma beneath you, you have to utilize zip lines. And we saw a little bit of this in pre-release screenshots. It made it look like Donkey Kong was riding lightning. Like he was actually like descending from Asgard. But in this case, the zip lines are like these energy ribbons that you can ride by holding up a sturdy chunk of terrain, and you just ride down them. And it took me a while to get the hang of this, because you can dislodge yourself fairly easily.
Yeah, also you can go down the zip lines, but you can't go up them. So it's easy to like get stuck accidentally. I mean, not too stuck, because, you could just teleport wherever.
You can always teleport. There's usually a barrel cannon you can activate somewhere. There are ways, you can maybe climb the wall. But yeah, like zip lines, you can only go down. You can't go up the zip line. Now you can change the direction of some zip lines. But yeah, it's still very fun. It's very satisfying. I think we're all fans of Zipline Shrine from Tropical Freeze. See, I love Tropical Freeze. And it was nice to see them incorporate the concept of zip lines in this game in a way that works for the conceits of this game. Especially, too, like, that was going to be a big element of the Vicarious Visions Donkey Kong game that preceded this in development, vine grinding. And it's just going to be a little bit different. In that case, you'd be grinding on top of vines with little banana peel shoes. So not quite that, but at very least Donkey Kong is still protecting himself with the chunk umbrellas and what have you. But yes, you have to go through Hot Shower Cave to get the 2 ancient record fragments, and you have to take it back up to the Elephant Elder, and then that will unlock the Bananza form elephant. And David, I don't know about you. I don't know about our listeners. This is probably my favorite Bananza.
Probably the one I've used the most.
I've heard that it's a bit overpowered, some people say. And yes, maybe. I'm sure if you use and abuse this, it can lead to like making large parts of the game from here on out very, very easy, because what it does, we alluded to Ellie the elephant before, and this does suck up terrain with your trunk, with Donkey Kong's gorilla elephant hybrid trunk. And you can suck up terrain, and what that does is it not only like strips the terrain from the landscape, but shreds it down eventually to like the base unbreakable metal that forms the backbone of these layers. But you also suck in all the errant gold, bananium chips, treasure chest. Like, it's an amazing way to farm all of that stuff. If you're low on gold, if you're low on bananium chips, you just break out that elephant bonanza. And not only do you just like farm all of that, but then it immediately replenishes your bananium meter, and then you can just transform again into the elephant bonanza. And like, yeah, it's probably a little overpowered, but I think they were very careful about when they gave it to you in this game.
Yeah, I mean, normally I'm content to just be normal DK and just punch my way through everything, but sometimes I get tired of doing those like hide and seek bananas, and then so I just turn to an elephant and then just oh wow, that's a lot faster.
I can see that. I'm very sportsmanlike about it. I don't go into like I do prefer to just shred terrain with Donkey Kong, as satisfying as peeling dried skin off your foot, but it's also kind of satisfying to use the Elephant Bonanza, you get like a much more clean strip. It is like having
less likely to have to deal with those weird floating chunks.
There is that, yeah. That is the one time I kind of grimace in this game when I leave floating chunks. I'm like, what's the lore explanation behind that floating chunk? Is it the residual bananium energy just causing it to levitate? Oh God, my stomach hurts.
I mean, the real reason is probably because they might have tried having the things fall, and it was just better to leave it, I guess.
Yeah,
but, I mean, that's not a lore explanation. So
this game is pretty damn impressive with what it does with the voxels, but it can only do so much. I mean, thank God it wasn't out on the Switch 1. Thank God we had to wait all that time to get this game on the new console, because, I mean, it does things that probably would not have been capable on Switch. I mean, we saw the screenshot of this on the Switch 1 from that Ask the Developers interview, and I was like, yeah, they made the right call there. I mean, I'm sure we would have lapped it up when it came out, but...
And then they would have made Donkey Kong Bonanza Nintendo Switch 2 edition that we would have had to pay another $20 for.
I would have to do another like 20 separate episodes on just that one, too. I think people would lose their patience with me. That's why I'm not breaking up Yuka Replay into each world when we talk about it. But, yeah, Bonanza... probably my favorite, and in my opinion, and this is all subjective, music is subjective, but I would say this is my favorite Bonanza song in the entire game. Not to step on just Andre's territory, but for me, it sounds like Pauline is singing "Shakey-shake your body."
Could be. I know 90% of the words are gibberish, but I think there's some actual English lyrics thrown in there sometimes, so yeah.
I don't know if it's just like they made certain gibberish, like they made it try to sound phonetically like certain English words, or maybe certain like a hybrid, like we're gonna throw in like this mishmash of syllables that sound like different words in different languages, so every language feels like they can pick something out of it and like assume something about it. But yeah, I always hear "shake your body," and I don't know, it makes me feel like Donkey Kong's a stripper who has just burst out of a cake, and every day is my birthday.
Although, if you did want to sing, or maybe shake your booty like the Casey and the Sunshine Band song, although I guess the normal Kong Bonanza has the better ass for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, as far as that goes, that unquestioned that the Kong Bonanza has the superior ass out of all 5 Bonanzas. But, you know, the Elephant Bonanza does have junk in the trunk. It's just a literal trunk. And
in which you can store junk.
Junk, yeah. Because that's the other thing about the Bonanza in this case, is you can actually store balls of terrain in Donkey Kong's trunk, and then you can throw it out, which I never really use except in very specific situations. I don't know. It would be more cumbersome than anything. I'd be like, I don't want this big wad of whatever. There's specific wads I want to talk about later on that I can't talk about on this episode. But yeah, sometimes it would be so surreal too, because I would be like, it's wild to me that right now, canonically, Donkey Kong has a wad of this substance in his nasal cavity. Like, is this going to do some long-term damage to him? There are cocaine addicts who spent years snorting lines of blow, and they've done serious damage to their nasal cavities as a result. I get worried whenever I use nasal spray a bit too much to get through, allergies. And I'm like, yeah, will Donkey Kong seriously, like, screw up, like, his ability to breathe because he's had big stone balls in his nose? And what happens when the Bonanza runs out and he just reverts back to gorilla form? Is he still going to have debris up there?
Or does the power of the song just kind of move the chunks of rock somewhere else, maybe?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I just worry about Donkey Kong's long-term health because I don't know what eating these big, potentially irradiated Bananium gems will be doing to his colon, his stomach lining, his intestines, like, and then he's like just snorting everything within eyeshot. It's just, I don't know. Like, I'm so happy that Donkey Kong is back and the Donkey Kong series is back in a big way. I don't think it would do the franchise any favors if Donkey Kong dies within the next 5 years. I mean, yeah, like, I'd be all for Diddy and Dixie or even Pauline to step up, but I think the public expects and demands Donkey Kong to be the lead.
Especially when they made a big deal about, bringing back, redesigning him and everything. And,
yeah.
Just to kill him off. I
mean, they could always just redesign him as a ghost. It's happened to this family before, so. Well, anyway, you get the elephant bonanza, and then you can also suck up lava, which is an important aspect of the elephant bonanza, especially in this world, is it can strip lava from the terrain, and then you can have safe passage wherever there was lava before. And you better believe I immediately smashed out my smashing stats, or I maxed out my smashing stats for lava. I just had to do it, and I did it, and I was so happy. I also used this opportunity. I found a Banandium melon within lava, and I was like, yeah, I'm here. I might as well smashing stats this Banandium melon as well, and max it out completely to get that off my bucket list, wanting to max out a Banandium melon in at least one layer. So I did that as well.
Oh, is that what that movie, The Bucket List, was about? Trying to...
Yeah, it was just Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson gobbling melons for 2 hours. Anyway, I love the Elephant Bonanza. It is overpowered, but that's part of the charm. And it's overpowered in a way that doesn't completely break the game, in my opinion. So...
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, it's probably the one I've used, like, the most outside of, like, the levels, the missions that specifically call for a specific type of bonanza.
Yeah. I have an appreciation for all the bonanzas except Mimi's Zebra. And I don't hate the Zebra bonanza, but the Zebra bonanza is so situational for me that I hardly ever break it out.
Yeah, also, it's just hard to move that fast.
I know, especially when you're trying to play as slow as I am. 135 hours. Why would I want to move any faster? Well, anyway, you use the Elephant Bonanza, and you go back through the hot shower cave, and you fight the Blusterwing again. Oh boy. And I like the little detail that the mask is a little bit more smashed the second time around. It's not something you would ever notice the first time around. I mean, maybe you would if you're hyper observant.
Or if you're some weirdo who takes screenshots of everything.
Well, only 4,000 plus. I mean, it could be worse. At least I didn't try to make it like a flip book of Donkey Kong Bonanza. Like my entire Donkey Kong Bonanza journey. I'm not doing a walkthrough of this the first time around. I'm not recording this. I'm not streaming this. But I'm going to reproduce it in a flip book that I will then make available to all DK Vine patrons for the low price of $400. Don't worry. That is with the Patreon discount. Otherwise, I would charge $800. Just because it would be a lot of pieces of paper to make that work. Sinister Blusterwing, you fight it again, and then you drop down into what is my absolute favorite part of this world, and what really endeared the world to me in a way that I don't think I'd felt before. Like, I wasn't hating this world or anything, but I think this Sublayer, 902, is really what elevated it to this, this special place in my heart, because this is where we drop down into Jumbo Spa and Trunk Dunk Hot Springs. Not Dunk Dunk, mind you. That was an excellent indie basketball game from Platonic Friends and Badger Hammer Games, released earlier this year, part of the DKU. Check it out. Jeff and I love it. But this is the hot springs and sauna of Tempest Lair. And yeah, the elephants have a relaxing little getaway when they're not forecasting the weather. They are unwinding in hot springs that can actually heal Donkey Kong if he soaks in it. If you're low on health, you can drop down into the hot springs and just take your time, and it will slowly replenish his hearts.
Although it's a bit redundant since there's usually a getaway nearby.
There's a getaway nearby, but
still, it's a nice touch.
If you don't want to go over to the bed and hop in the bed and watch Donkey Kong and Pauline fall asleep for the upteenth time, you can watch them just lounge about in this steamy hot spring water. And can I ask you a question about the hot springs area, David? You alluded to this when you talked about the Elephant Bonanza and what you used it for. There is a seeker tone challenge here where the fractones are like, tee-hee-hee, there's 4 of us hiding here. Can you find us? And from what I've heard from other DK Vine staffers, I know Cameron has brought this up, the seeker tone challenge gave some people problems here because you had such an expansive space to conduct the search rather than up until this point they'd been relatively confined. And it did take me a while to find all 4. But did you just break out the Elephant Bonanza and just start sucking up everything?
Let me just check to see if I even have that.
Oh, do you not even have it yet? Okay.
All right. Yeah, I probably will use the Elephant Bonanza when I get around to it.
When you actually get around to it. Okay. Well, yeah, apparently this one is cumbersome. And I did not use the Elephant Bonanza. I did it the old-fashioned way, just out of pride or stubbornness or wanting to pad out my runtime. But yeah, this one is, I think, the first Seeker Tone challenge that actually gives you a bit of trouble. And on the point of the whole jumbo spa setting, why this appealed to me, I'm not going to lie. You know, I suffer from chronic anxiety as a result of having bipolar 2. And one of the things I employ to help alleviate said anxiety is self-care, trying to slow down. I mean, obviously when I'm playing Donkey Kong games, but just in general, you know, kind of not pampering yourself, but taking care of yourself. And so I was all about giving DK and Pauline this spa day. And I think it comes at just the right point in the world, too, because you're in the world, your top side, Sublayer 900, which you're introduced to the stormy weather. It's the first really dark and foreboding area in the game. I mean, the junction was tense and creepy and felt hostile, but it still didn't have like this really dark environment. And so you've got there, but then things kind of simmered down when you get inside and you meet all the elephants. And then you go down into the lava caves, which take up the rest of 900 and Sublayer 901 in full. And then that's just, you know, it's raining fire. You're in hell, effectively. But then you get down here and, oh my god, we get a respite. We get a break. It's kind of like a resort layer, a mini resort layer in this otherwise fraught and deadly environment. And I don't know, it was nice. I feel like Donkey Kong Bonanza is such a well-paced game that it even gives the players breathers within these worlds themselves. And I really appreciate that, and I really enjoyed watching Donkey Kong soak in the hot springs like a Japanese macaque, you know? And the only thing is, my only issue with this is I wish the elephants offered more spa services. I didn't think it was enough. I didn't think it was enough to justify the cost. Well, Donkey Kong didn't pay anything, but I think there should have been elephant massages where they trample your back with their feet. That would have been great. I wanted elephant fire cupping where they heated up their trunk, maybe put like a hot coal in their trunk, and then started sucking up Donkey Kong's muscle knots. I would have loved that sequence. I mean, give me an entire game where the Kong family pampers themselves for a weekend with like banana facials, prosthetic Rolfing fingers.
Well, I'm one of those weirdos who wanted to get on with the story. That way I can stop dodging spoilers,
Yeah. And, from an in-universe perspective, the fate of everything might be at stake if Voidco gets to the Bananza route. But, what's spending 3 days in the Jumbo Spa? I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're going to get there first. Whatever. It's going to just build up Donkey Kong and Pauline's resolve. They're going to be well rested, and then they're going to have that vim and vigor to really go at it. So it was worth it for me, and it was worth it too, knowing that I wasn't the only one thinking in these terms. Cranky Kong was there too. Cranky Kong was having a little spa session. He was lounging out. There's an outer balcony area adjacent to the interior Jumbo Spa, and that's where Cranky and Rambi are just hanging out. Cranky, this is the most decadent I've ever seen Cranky act, at least in a video game. Like he's just on this chair here. He's still clutching a shovel, so I don't know how relaxed he actually is. But yeah, he engaged in some of these services for sure. And Cranky goes through his normal rants. But then, what are his alternate lines specific to Tempest Layer? His little bit of duplicitous wordplay. David, do you want to read Cranky Kong's dialogue in your best Cranky Kong voice?
Oh, wait. Because in this game, Pauline's the only one who talks normally, so...
Well, you can do, like, just a Cranky Kong voice.
Okay, fine. What a rotten crook. Wagging his pathetic tail back and forth as he burgles other folks' bananas. Once I catch up with him, I'll give that tail a good whack with my shovel.
Void Kong, famously, monkey. Monkeys have tails. Don't see any other way about it. So, yeah.
I never really noticed, I guess, because it's such a pathetic tail.
Don't tail shame. It got the tail he was born with. Now, Rambi cracks me up here because Rambi, is always near Cranky. And in this case, I don't know. The vibe I get from Rambi is that Rambi would just rather be anywhere else right now because Rambi does not understand luxury. Rambi does not understand the concept of pampering oneself, at least in these terms.
Rambi's taught all that shit on his back and he's just ready to go.
Yeah. And it's like, it's also stormy, and I don't know if Rambi, being a big dog, is storm sensitive too. So it's like, Cranky, did you give Rambi clonidine 2 hours before you got to this layer? Oh, you didn't? No, because you're an old man who doesn't consider the welfare of your animal companions. Makes sense. Freezer gives you a little compliment in the live stream, by the way. David Freezer says that was better than the Mario movie voice.
Oh, wait, hold on. What a rotten crook, wagging his pathetic tail back and forth as he burgles other folks' bananas. Once I catch up with him, I'll give that tail a good whack with my shovel.
Wow, you transported me. I was back at the cinema.
It really does sound like Bernie Sanders when I do that voice.
By way of Larry David, yeah. Which, again, pretty much the same voice, but... Anyway, as I said, the Jumbo Spa kind of serves as a nice, relaxing mini vacation within the world itself. I did spend probably 2 to 3 days here in real time, which I realize is excessive, and I realize to many of our listeners is probably disgusting, but I am who I am, And, if I have the opportunity to treat Donkey Kong in any way, from my capacity in the real world to the video game world, I will take it. Because Donkey Kong has done so much for me. Why would I not repay him in kind? So, yeah, once you leave the Jumbo Spa, though, that's where things get their most intense. That's where things get their most dangerous, their most deadly, their most fraught in Tempest Layer. Because then you have to traverse the ravines and cliff sides en route to Stormy Station, the main meteorological hub of Tempest Layer. And this whole area, it's a bit like DKC3's Lightning Lookout, because, yeah, the lightning's gonna strike you. You get a little bit of a warning, but you can hold a chunk above you to shield yourself, although many times I would just forget to do that, or I would just try to dodge the lightning, or just try to get to an overhanging rock where I'd be safe.
Yeah, I find it easier just to get out of the way.
There's a lot of zip lining here as well, so you have to finagle the zip lines, reorient them, and of course there's just lots of Bananium gems, lots of fossils, so this took a bit of time to navigate. I don't think I spent as much time here as I did in the Jumbo Spa, because I was actually trying to get through here because I wanted Donkey Kong and Pauline to get, to get somewhere safe. And, apropos of the concept of the sinister Blusterwing, because it's the sinisterized version of the Blusterwing that's making this whole segment feel so sinister and deadly. It's causing this bad weather. But you also have Pauline's nerves, her own fear, which is brought up in her getaway dialogue, a few of which we will quote here in just a minute. But it really just does add to this feeling of, oh yeah, they're really in the shit now. I think, it's also owing, at least from my perspective, that this was the first world where it really felt like we were starting to get beyond the pre-release info. They didn't divulge much about Tempest Layer in that hype cycle. We got a screenshot and a quick little glimpse, but we didn't really know anything about it. So this is really where it started to feel like you're heading into the unknown, and you don't know, unless you're spoiled, what's around the bend. And I don't know, I really like that.
We're even going to use the YouTube thumbnails in future episodes.
Playing it very carefully. I don't know when we're going to lift our spoiler policy quite yet. I know some of the staff is really getting pissed off with me about it. And, the knives are out, and there's going to be a Caesar moment, at 2 Idaho crew. But I don't think we're going to go too much longer. But for now, I did avoid putting the elephant Bananza in the thumbnail for this one, because I was like, yeah, that it's still a cool visual and a cool reveal if you don't know. So I would like to extend that benefit to anyone who doesn't have the game. I saw in the comments, well, the only people who don't have Bananza and the only people who haven't beaten it are Hyle and little kids who are waiting for the holidays or their birthdays. And it's like, well, you don't know. You don't know everybody's financial situation, and you don't know how people are approaching this game. So I'm sorry I'm so empathetic, and also that I am also taking so long. There is a bit of levity here, though. I did appreciate that you run into the one elephant just taking a mud bath, and they're kind of proclaiming that will be the next big spa treatment. And you can also just tear through the mud and kind of ruin their attempt at luxury during the storm of the century in the underground world. So I do appreciate the way Bananza balances all of the emotions. It's not quite Greg Mail's Wheel of Emotions, but it does do a good job of pacing itself. Now, as I often like to do, I like to read relevant or interesting pieces of Pauline dialogue from the getaway sleep sequences where she wakes up Donkey Kong with a pressing concern, worry, or just utter nonsense. Now, there's nothing pertinent this time around as far as Pauline's backstory, no clues, but we do get some humorous one-offs and I think some important relationship building moments with DK here. Like I said, this is really where they're starting to truly bond. And I do think there's really great payoff for this later on. But I will read the first round, David, and I'll let you read the second, and then I'll read the third, and you can read the fourth. Yes, we have 4 different pieces of Pauline getaway dialogue that I took screenshots of. Okay, so there's one where she says, "Oof, I fell off the bed."
And then DK says, So he's clearly awake.
Yeah. You can say, or zzz, which is just a mosquito. It's not actually Donkey Kong. It's just the mosquito biting them. So, yeah. Pauline
or
says,
if you're impatient and just want to skip that, but why would you want to do that?
I'm never impatient when it comes to the DKU. Pauline says, "Oof." Donkey Kong says, And Pauline says, "I fell off the bed." DK didn't see that, did he? Ugh, how embarrassing. And that's the extent of it. It's clear to me they had to pad some of these. They're like, "Oh, what are we going to write for this one?" They had a big, like, open Word document, and they were just like, "Oh, God. Another piece of getaway dialogue." And so they're like, "What if Pauline falls off the bed?" It's relatable.
Well, I mean, I suppose he didn't see that if he was trying to sleep. His eyes were closed.
Yeah.
But he overheard the dialogue, probably.
At this point, too, you're also still getting the notion that Pauline kind of gets on Donkey Kong's nerves at time, although it's far less than it used to be, like back up in Lagoon Layer. Like, they've come a long way, but they haven't quite bonded 101% yet. But, David, you want to read the second one I have provided?
I snuck into the hot spring before this. It was so warm. I'm all cozy now. You should try it.
And then, like, I really wish you had the option for DK to be, "Pauline, you awake?" Just to show her how it feels. Anyway, the next one is, "So hot, but so nice." And Donkey Kong says, She says, "After the sauna warms your body, cool off with a dip in the pool down the hall. Then dry off and step out to feel the breeze on your skin." She's quoting, like, the pamphlet. "That's how the elephants do it. They really like the spa, and I get why. Once you get used to being sweaty, it's so relaxing. Try it, DK. Warm your trunk, and then enjoy a cool dunk." And I never thought Donkey Kong would be told to warm his trunk in any canonical depiction. So it's a first time. It's a first time for everything, really. And then one more, David.
Okay, DK. And then DK. You're a sound sleeper, huh? Between the sound of the rain and the constant thunder, I feel like my ears are going to pop. Well, okay, there's more to it than that. Truth is, I'm a little scared. Would you mind if I sleep a little closer? Thanks, DK. Good night.
Little sweet moment. Little sweet moment between them. Character building. I mean, I think, and I've said, like, the conceit of the getaways and Pauline just, like, being this excited child who can't sleep. It's wonderful because it allows all of this character development and also this relationship development between the two protagonists that you wouldn't get anywhere else. There would be no room for this. And I don't know how atypical it is for a Nintendo game, because clearly I have not played many Nintendo games post 2002, 2001, sans anything related to the DKU. So I don't know how much of this you would find baked in other high-profile releases from EPD or other big teams, but this is very refreshing. All of this is because I get such a good idea of who Pauline is and who she is in relation to Donkey Kong. That, yeah, like I would always, I mean, whenever I would see one of those Fractones selling the plots, I would immediately, the Architecatones, I would go up and be like, yes, we are immediately doing this. I don't care what else I'm doing. I need to see the getaway dialogue. They're just little potential lore drops or pieces of character building that I can't get enough of.
Also gives DK some few lines of dialogue. And, oops, this is the back.
Freezer says DK should give Pauline the storm meds to calm her. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame that Cranky didn't bring any for Rambi, and thus DK didn't have any to procure. Because, yeah, I mean, humans can take clonidine. The dosage would be different, but yeah, just slide some pills into wads of cheese from the Elephant Bananza trunk and just feed it to Pauline. It's what I do with my dog. I snort out balls of cheese. So the saga of the Exploratone continues. 3 different Exploratone tablets. I will read the first. David, you can read the second. And I will then read the final one of this layer. So, Saga of the Exploratone, verse 15. When we arrived, the sky was as blue as it had been in previous layers. As soon as we noticed this, a dark cloud appeared over us and began to rain. Only a moment later, the enormous boulder in front of us turned our way. It turned out to be a local, one which was many times bigger than us.
Saga of the Exploratone, verse 16. We have been told of a massive bird on this layer that can control the weather. The equally massive elephants here live alongside this bird, observing the weather and conducting experiments. We had some of the trainee forecasters predict the weather for us. The verdict was that the road ahead for us, as well as our destination, would see sunny skies. You can't see me do the quotes because it's an audio.
Yeah, there were 2 scare quotes in there around elephants.
Elephants.
And then one around sunny skies, which also, like, the Fractones wouldn't do the air quotes because they typically don't have the fingers for it. Like, it would be fun to see a Fractone more.
I suppose they could just turn into a hand and just do the quotes.
Yeah.
Or just turn into quotation marks for that matter.
Yeah, it would be quotation marks. That would be the way they would do it, but it would be fun to see nonetheless. All right. Saga of the Exploratone, verse 17. With umbrellas held in their trunks, the elephants guided us to the sinkhole. The weather and scenery has changed constantly since our arrival. Sometimes it snows. Sometimes there is lightning. But when we arrived at the sinkhole, the skies were completely clear. So obviously there's no snow when we're in Tempest Layer, but I do like that idea that there could be snow here. Like, it's not locked into its appearance when Donkey Kong and Pauline are passing through. Obviously there's more going on with a sinisterized version of the Blusterwing, but yeah, like Freezer mentions the fact that there are multiple like lava areas in this game, and potentially there could also be multiple snow areas. It's not just locked into Freezer. So just the kind of world building and the kind of like, you know, these are more complex biomes than just your standard video game tropes. So yes, that takes us to the end of the world. The final fight with the sinister Blusterwing, which takes place, you have to go through the Stormy Station, which is at the far end of Sublayer 902. And then you have to drop down through the hole into Sublayer 903, which is one of those sublayers that just is effectively the boss arena. Now, this final battle will see you finally smash the hypnotizing mask on the Blusterwing and free it from Voidco's influence. And that is when we see its true appearance. It's not bat-like at all. It is actually a big blue bird, and it appears, and it's quite apparent at this point, that it has the same blue rocky body as not only the fractones, but also the elevators. And your brain starts like saying, wait a second, elevators, blusterwing, fractones. Interesting. But the blusterwing is like all startled and confused over what had just transpired. And you do see the skies clear up a little bit, although regrettably this isn't reflected in the actual world after the fact. Like, you know, you don't just get immediate sunny skies or anything, which probably...
Well, you hate to cause droughts and stuff.
Yeah. It would have probably disrupted too much of the like return gameplay. Like the lightning would be cleared up, and then it would make that whole stretch far easier to get the Banandium gems and fossils, and you got to keep it challenging. And maybe the Blusterwing just needed time to recuperate.
You spent a lot of fossils on those raincoats, so you might as well have a reason to keep wearing them.
True. I do like that not everything immediately reverts from Voidco's influences. Like, we talked about Forest Layer. Forest Layer still has poison in it. It's going to take a while to clear up that ecological disaster. And so, yeah, I guess the Blusterwing, he still has some trauma. He still has some turbulence in his brain, or in its brain. And so, yeah, it just needs time to recoup. Because it flies the coop then. Anyway,
Oh, I see what you did there, yeah.
What do you think about the Blusterwing fights? And for once you realized, oh yeah, the gloop on the wings is how you bring it down.
I liked it, I guess. I don't have any particularly strong feelings, but don't remember hating it though, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think this might have been my favorite boss fight up until this point. I don't know. Again, none of the boss fights are super challenging in this game. I mean, some of them can give you a bit of a run for it, especially if you don't have, you know, your hearts filled up and you don't have any juice containers with you. But yeah, I found this very satisfying. And again, maybe it's just my weird fetish of putting hair in sticky things. I don't know.
Especially weird because much like Donkey Kong Country Returns, you help your friends by beating them up. And I know how much you hate that game.
Oh, come on. I mean, I will say Blusterwing makes a lot more sense than Mugly, but that's neither here nor there. Returns is a fine 2D platformer, and it meant the world to us in 2010. And honestly, in January 2025, I rediscovered how much I loved it. So... yeah, Blusterwing is better than most of the bosses in that game, but yeah, we like the Scurvy crew, right? We like Mango Ruby. It's fine. It's not a competition, you know? It's all one big family. We need to stop all of this feuding and infighting. We need to just embrace each other. Hands across America, hands across the water, hands across the world. We got a couple calls to take on Tempest Layer, and
only 2 calls.
Only 2 calls, and I don't know if people are either hating on Tempest Layer or they're just really sick of this format and they want us to get to the sexy bits of Donkey Kong Bonanza. And I'm saying, if you can't pop a boner or get a little wet over the sinister Blusterwing, you're not looking at the game right. You didn't spend enough time in that spa getting really relaxed. All right, let's take this first call before I turn off more viewers. Well, I turn myself on talking about Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Hello, Lynch. Hello, Hyle. I'm calling in for the Tempest Layer, but I feel like I have to defend the Tempest Layer's residents because social media about this conversation called them Donkey Kong Bonanza's most hedonistic herbivores, and I don't think that's fair at all. Like, first of all, these elephants are hard workers, okay? They're weather forecasters, which is not only an invaluable service, both in our world and below, but also I assume it's perhaps even more difficult than it is on the surface because the underground world has all these sorts of magical effects that makes life down here possible at all. There's probably weather interacting with the other layers and things like that, you know, like updrafts with the sinkholes. So I don't think they should be called hedonistic and lazy because this is what they dedicate their life to. I'm sure you're probably talking about the spas, but remember, Donkey Kong Bananza is not in its like natural state. The underground world is in a state of flux when we're coming down here because Voidco has artificially cut people off. These spas are for the elephants, of course, but they're also for a lot of other people that come down. We've had, the ostrich layer, the forest layer, and the resort layer. They're also about providing tourist destinations for other residents, and the spas are definitely part of that. So I feel like they're getting a bad rap here. But I think what doesn't get a bad rap, because it gets been praised a lot, is the elephant bonanza, which I think is very mechanically clever. I think in particular, the fact that you're able to summon chunks and use them over and over is very inspired, and it allows a lot more interesting things to be done with like firm materials, which is obviously a very important part of the Bananza's design, but it's usually pretty situational. You can really only have access to terrain that is like immediately next to you in order to use it to like throw or turf surf or whatever. But Elephant allows you more flexibility there. I think the one drawback of Elephant Bananza is it's maybe a little bit too good, particularly with its suction power. If you wanted to play the game most efficiently, if you wanted to dig through something, there's really no reason to not go for the Elephant Bananza and just absolutely eviscerate all the terrain around you. You're going to restore enough energy to be able to do it basically right away, again, even when you've run out on your timer. So for a sequel, I think they might want to seriously rework Elephant Bananza or just like get rid of it altogether, because I think it flies in too much of the game design. It flies too much in the face of it. I want to end off with one little question. I start off disagreeing with you, but I think we can all agree that the Sinister Blustering would have been better if you were fighting Sinister BlusterCon instead, right? Thank you for taking the call.
Well, thank you for the call. I'm not going to wade into those spoiler waters that you ended it on. But I will say, as just Andre pointed out, listening to this call in the chat, that the caller is revealing their own biases by starting on the implicit assumption that hedonistic is a negative descriptor. And yes, that was my intention when I plugged this episode on social media. It was not meant as an insult towards the hardworking weather forecasters of the Tempest Layer. No, I was applauding them. They work hard. Baby, they play hard. And, late stage capitalism is going to kill us all. Sorry, David. I'm going there again. We need to take care of ourselves. We don't owe anything to these billionaires and large corporations that control almost every facet of our society. We don't. We need to look out for each other and ourselves. There's no shame in it. Sometimes you got to take that mud bath in the middle of a lightning storm.
Mm-hmm.
You can just say you agree. I mean,
yes.
You have to make a big thing of it, whether I'm right or wrong, or I'm up my own ass. I just want everybody to get a good rub down occasionally.
Yeah. I mean, it's your podcast at the end of the day, so you're always right.
I'm not always right. I've been wrong so many times on the Kongversation, especially in the first 2 seasons. But I am, all about self-growth, and I think a big part of that is learning to love yourself. And boy, these elephants sure do love themselves, and I think it's great. And I want to say, as far as the Elephant Bonanza goes, I don't think it's too overpowered. I think it's one of those things where you might not want it if there is a Donkey Bonanza 2 at any point. I don't know, you might not want to do the Banjo-Tooie route and just start with everything, start with all your past moves. And you might want to, dole out any returning Bonanzas when appropriate, because, I think the Elephant Bonanza, coming where it does in what's effectively the 9th world of the game, I think it works just fine where it is. You wouldn't want this as the first ability you learn, because that would make the game feel a little cheap. But I don't know. I never felt like it was a bit much or anything. But I can see the argument.
You can always choose to just play the game as normal DK and just punch stuff.
Yeah, it gives you that option for sure. I mean, there are areas where you have to use the Elephant Bonanza, but those are well reasoned. There's lava here. The only way I'm going to get through this lava is sucking it up. Or I need to generate a chunk here, and I'll just pull it in. But, I think that the Elephant Bonanza is great. It's my favorite Bonanza, so I am biased. But, I do think the arguments about the best ways to play Bananza, the best routes, the best methods, the best moves to utilize with what you want to get out of the game, these will fuel the fandom for years to come. There is so much depth and nuance to this game that I welcome the debate. But thank you so much for the call. Nothing wrong with being hedonistic every now and again, so long as you don't become a selfish, apathetic dick. All right, let's play our second caller, and then we'll have some wrap-up thoughts. We'll give our overall impressions of Tempest Layer and see how it stacks up compared to some of the layers we've already talked about on the show.
Hello to Hyle and to David. Always lovely to hear your smiling voices. I'm calling in for the Bananza Tempest Layer episode. I've been listening to all these Bananza episodes, but I haven't called into one. But I had to call in for this one because this is the layer with the elephants. Elephants are among my very favorite animals, and I was so happy to see them get a world. I love them all. I love the elephant elder. I think she's adorable. She reminds me of this elephant toy I had when I was a kid. So I'm very happy. The elephant Bananza is the best one. It's absolutely busted. It's my favorite one. As soon as you get it, it cracks the game wide open. I think it's delightful, and I'm so happy that one of my favorite animals has the best Bananza. So that's really cool. One thing I love about the Tempest Layer is the world building. I like how, all the elephants are really into, weather forecasting because they live in an area where the weather is really volatile. So what do you do when you live in an area like that? You get to telling the weather. It's how you survive. I like that. I like little touches like that. I don't want to take up too much time, but one other thing I wanted to note is something I found interesting about these elephants is the area seems to have a very slight Indian theme. It's not super present, but it's a little bit there, which makes sense, Indian elephants. But I was thinking, between the Indian theme, the fact that all these guys are kind of blue tinted, maybe that's like a subtle reference to Taj from Diddy Kong Racing. And if we want to take it a step further, maybe Taj is actually from here. Wouldn't that be interesting? It's something to theorize about, something to think about. Loving the Bananza episodes. Can't wait to see Hyle get all the way up to the end of the game in 17 years. It's gonna be a blast. All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, so I guess it's not just you. Turns out there's at least two people who think that of Taj.
I think it's a natural reaction to have if you're, as we say, lost in the sauce of the DKU. I think it's like a natural correlation to make. And yeah, I was trying to get a sense of what cultural vibe they were aiming for, especially in Sublayer 900. When you first go into the Elder's Court, I was like, is it an Indian vibe that they're going for? But I'm willing to maybe explore this headcanon as the days and weeks and months and years and decades go by. Could Taj have originated in Tempest Layer? Obviously, there are barriers towards ever knowing for sure, being that Taj is a rare character, despite the fact that he was going to appear in Donkey Kong Racing. That was when Rare just didn't give a shit about who owned what, because it's not like they would ever part ways with Nintendo, because of course Nintendo would be willing to buy them when the time came. But
I pointed out the other day they traded the rights to Banjo-Kazooie for Donkey Kong.
That's... I realize I've made that point before on social media and it kind of blew up, and I didn't really mean it as an exact literal thing. At one time, Rare did hold the copyrights to various Donkey Kong 64 characters, including the 3 original Kongs, Troff and Scoff, K. Lumsy, Snide, Banana Fairies. I don't know the actual reasoning behind it. My only guess is that because Donkey Kong 64 had such a late development, crunch time, we got to get it out before November, that they took the initiative to copyright all the things for Nintendo with the intent to later pass the trademarks on. But from a surface level, it does look like there was a hostage trade in 2002 where it was like, okay, we'll give you back your Donkey Kong 64 Kongs if you give us Banjo-Kazooie. And, they met on a bridge, and Banjo-Kazooie with their hands on their head, like, walked across as they passed Lanky, Tiny, Chunky, Scoff, and the others. It's a very reductive way of looking at it, but yes, I will say about Taj one more thing, that yes, they are owned by separate corporate entities, but again, they will always be linked because Diddy Kong Racing will be this permanent historical connection between Donkey Kong, Banjo-Kazooie, and Conker, and that's why the DKU will never die, and that's why we can continue to go down these paths of madness debating this.
Mm-hmm. Although, regarding what's up with all the elephants, my theory remains that, the gameplay elements of the Bananza were based on Ellie, and then they just kind of worked everything else out from there.
Yes, okay, but there's gameplay, and then there's world building, and
then hey, well, let's make a whole world based on elephants.
Yeah, and what other elephants were in the Donkey Kong series? Well, there was Elliot from Donkey Kong Country Returns. Yeah, but let's go for the Diddy Kong Racing homage instead. Andre in a live stream says maybe Taj is actually a humanoid genie permanently inhabiting an elephant Bananza transformation, and that's why he has fingers rather than flesh stumps. I love the word flesh stump, by the way. And Courtney says they went through all of that, and yet they have not shown us my beloved K. Lumsey again.
Nintendo has forgotten about Troff and Scoff. They probably actually have forgotten about Troff and Scoff.
Okay, but for the first time in probably over 15 years, I have hope. I have hope for everything now, as it relates to Donkey Kong, not for the greater world. But thank you so much for the call. Again, it will not take 17 years. It won't even take 17 weeks, honestly. We're getting close to the end. But yeah, final thoughts on Tempest Layer, David. Now, personally speaking, I really love this world. I think this world might be a little bit divisive in the broader community, and I can't say it's my favorite, even up to this point, but it might be close. It's up there. I really love the vibe. Again, it's well balanced. It's foreboding, it's tranquil, it's deadly, it's thrilling, it's every emotion you might want to have playing a video game. It's wholly unique, and yet I feel it is entirely befitting a Donkey Kong game. Nothing about this feels out of place. Right to the big blue elephants who stand upright. And, it allows Donkey Kong to soak his ass, which I've always wanted to see in a relaxing context. I would say it's a 9.5 out of 10 for me on the Tempest Layer.
I guess I don't know, put it in the middle of all the worlds, I guess. I don't know. I guess maybe the upper percentile. I don't know. I'm trying to think of worlds I like better, but they're all like later stuff that we can't talk about yet.
Give it to me in like your weather forecaster term. Like what percent chance of liking this world do you have?
Well, at least liking it, 100%.
Oh, okay, great. So, yeah, be sure to wear a raincoat.
Well, I mean, of everybody else, let's just say, 90%. I don't know, maybe some people hate it. I
don't know. Well, I've been trying to avoid spoilers, and I let it inadvertently slip at the beginning of this episode, and then caller brought it up, and we talked about it, in fact, so I think we can finally reveal the big spoiler of Donkey Kong Bananza and lift our spoiler policy once and for all. Yes, Bluster Kong is finally canon, but because of rights issues, because Nelvana owns Bluster, and who knows what's happening with Nelvana right now, Nintendo had to make some alterations. Now, in canon, Bluster is not a Kong who runs and operates a barrel factory and lusts after Candy Kong. Instead, and I feel like this was the best way to go about it, he's a rotund bird who thought he was a bat and shits liquid diarrhea on your head. And I think, personally speaking, that's an upgrade.
Wait, hang on. We need to talk about the elephant in the room. I just realized we should have started this show by saying that. Can we start the whole thing over?
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.